$223 billion. That is the projected size of the entire US solar industry by the year 2026. And today I'm going to show you 5 different ways that you can make money in the solar industry and the massive boom that we're seeing right now. And if you don't know who I am already, my name is Sebastián Figueroa, aka Solar Papi. I own a solar dealership here in Denver, Colorado. And this channel is here to help you reach your full potential and to help you become the best version of yourself, whether it's in the solar industry or whatever industry. Right, this channel is simply for entrepreneurs, and it's all about teaching you the skills that you need to level up in life. So let's get right into it. These are the 5 ways that you can make money within the solar industry in the next couple of years. And so the first part that we're going to look at is going to be the sales side, right? The sales side is what I would recommend to most people. Obviously, on the sales side, you have to be willing to talk to people and you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit. You know, me personally, I used to hate talking to people, but sales is what helped me break out of my shell and to help me reach the next level of myself. When we look at the sales side, there's really 2 positions that we look at, right? Every company is different. Everyone has a little bit of a different model, but most companies, what you see today in the solar industry is that they've split up the sales process into the setter and closer model. And both positions can be very, very lucrative, right? In the past, being a closer was much more valuable. But nowadays, we're seeing the tables turn a little bit, and the job titles are pretty self-explanatory. Right, when you look at the sales process in the solar industry, it always starts off with the setter, right? Your job as a setter is to simply set an appointment. It's to generate interest, whether it's door to door, on the phone, at an event, home show, whatever. 95% of you, it is probably going to be knocking doors because it's the most consistent and it's the most reliable source that's out there. And as a setter, you're going to have a pretty flexible schedule, right? Most people who I know that are setters typically work about 20 to 30 hours a week. You could work a lot more, but in reality, when you're out there knocking, you want it to be when it's the time that people are home. So usually you're going to see it in the afternoons, right? Anywhere between 2 to 8 p.m. you could say, really depends on your market or whatever. And as a setter, all you have to do is set the appointment. You don't have to worry about closing the person, explaining them, selling them on it, none of that. As a setter, your only job is to set the appointment. That's literally it. Just by doing that, you can be paid pretty handsomely. Top door knockers / setters right now are easily making over 6 figures a year. And it's because it's a very simple job, but it's not easy. A lot of people don't have the grit or the self-esteem to constantly be taking rejection after rejection, going from door to find that one person who'll finally say yes. But trust me when I say this, there are very, very few sales jobs out there that give you that type of flexibility and allow you to make that much money. You know, nowadays we're literally seeing companies give half of the commission to the setter and the closer. And the barrier to entry is pretty freaking low. But once you get your pitch down and once you're in a right place mentally where you realize that nothing is personal, setting can be a very, very lucrative thing, especially within the right commission structure at the right company. Top setters are making well above 6 figures, especially when they're being compensated correctly. You know, if you do go into becoming a setter, you need to understand one thing. Historically, the closer has always been paid more than the setter. So I highly recommend you look for a company or an opportunity that rewards the setter a little bit more. And if you're completely new to sales, I'd highly recommend becoming a setter. Not because closing is less good or any of that, but because setting is what builds you. It builds this mindset. It builds this resilience in front of you, because once you get door knocking down, you know, and if you've done that for so long, you're essentially immune to rejection. You're immune to pretty much doing anything. You're almost kind of fearless. So forget the money. As far as development and, you know, the person that you're going to become, you gotta try out door knocking. Some of the best salespeople I know all started as a door knocker. I personally started as a door knocker as well. It moved my way up. You know, when I first got into it, I had very, very little sales experience. I literally just got thrown in the deep. You know, I went to a recruiting event, you know, I got to know people at this company, you know, what they were doing and everything. And I said, hey, you know, teach me the pitch, throw me out there. I literally had no idea what I was doing, but I learned the pitch, practiced it for about an hour, and got thrown out in the field. I knocked doors that day. I probably hit about 50. Like I said, I was still figuring it out, but after knocking 50 doors, I set 3 appointments and one of them closed. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I had just made a couple $1,000s just by knocking doors for an afternoon. And that's when I realized that this opportunity was unlike anything else. The only hard thing is that, especially when you're in a market like Denver, Colorado, weather can become a really big thing. When it's cold outside, it can be pretty hard to get out there, when it's freezing cold and you just want to be at home cuddled up. But that's really not an excuse. There's a lot of companies that will literally just work during the summer and that's it. They work during the summer, make a couple $100,000, and then they're out for the rest of the year. So I highly recommend you become a setter. There's tons of videos out there on YouTube. I highly recommend you look into D2D or Sam Taggart. It does not get much better than that as far as training. But setter, it's definitely where you should start, and just know that there's a lot of money to be made and it's not hard at all to find a job doing that, right? You can literally go to Indeed right now and you'll probably find 6 or 7 companies in your area who are looking for canvassers, appointment setters, whatever it be. Get out there, get thrown in the fire, get rejected a bunch of times, and if you just stick with it, I can guarantee you will make 6 figures. I've never met anyone who has knocked consistently every day for a year that has not made more than 6 figures a year. The numbers do not lie. It is impossible to fail if you put in the work. And so now number 2, right? We want to look at that second part. Now you have the closer. What's so cool about being a closer? Now, being a closer, in my opinion, is not so much about resilience or grit or getting out there and putting up numbers. It's really a lot more strategic. As a closer, your job is to seal the deal, right? You're essentially going to the house or the appointment of whoever set it, right? Maybe you could have set it yourself, whatever, but you go to the house and your job is to be the expert. You have to be able to answer all the questions that may come up about how solar works, the process, the types of panels, warranties, any of this stuff. And you have to be able to compete against the other companies or the other options that are out there. And the average appointment can take anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, depending on how good you are. You got to help people with the financing, help put them through the closing documents and all that. So it is a process. But to get to the point of being a closer, it does take a lot more experience and expertise that you need about the solar industry. So very rarely would I recommend anyone go straight into a closer position unless you have some pretty deep sales experience selling other stuff like real estate, cars, roofing, but mainly anything that's in home is a pretty good transition. But as far as being a closer, you also have that luxury of a pretty flexible schedule, right? The average closer is gonna take, say 2 or 3 appointments in an afternoon. You just have to be available when people are home. And as far as being able to give people proposals, designs, a system, any of that stuff, there's a lot of cool softwares and stuff out there that really do a lot of that work for you. You just have to explain how it works and build enough trust and certainty to close the deal. And like I said, historically, closers have always been, it has always been a more prestigious position. They've always been paid more and stuff. But like I said, you're starting to see a shift right now where setters and closers are starting to be paid the same. Because what happens with closers is that they can get really, really complacent, right? All they have to do is go close a couple deals. They just have to show up to an appointment, talk to people, and that's it. While the setters out here knocking doors, setting the appointments when it's freezing cold or it's super hot outside. So in my opinion, it's more than fair that both are being paid equal. And as a closer, I've even seen positions out there as a salaried employee. But just know that not very many companies can offer you that. With both of these positions, you're typically gonna be 100% commission. And not just any company is going to be giving you leads and appointments to go run. A lot of times they're going to want you to be what's known as a self-gen closer, where you're setting your own appointments and closing them. But as far as closing, I can tell you right now that top closers in the industry are breaking even the 7-figure mark. It really is not uncommon for people who are top closers to be making anywhere between $200, $300, $400, even $500,000 a year just as a solo closer. And it's because there's just so much room to make a profit and to make a big commission. But closing, while it is very simple, it is not easy. It takes a lot of strategy. You have to be very certain, and you have to be really good at reading people and knowing who you are in front of in order to close the deal. Keep in mind, when you are closing prospects, you're selling them a system anywhere between $30 to $50, $60, $70, $80, even $100,000 plus. You're getting them to sign a loan or a lease that's 20, 25 years. You have to be sharp. You have to know what you're talking about. But once you got that figured out and you can find some consistency in the industry, that's where the real money is made. Because from there, you can start getting referrals, right? You close someone and maybe their neighbors start asking about it. Maybe their friends, their cousins, their coworkers, whatever. But over time, you want to become a closer. All right, number 3, now you're looking at sales managers. Right, within an organization, more so a sales organization in solar, you have a lot of people, right? You got closers, you got a bunch of setters, but within that, you also have sales managers, right? Another opportunity you have is that if you've been knocking doors for a really long time and say you get really good at it, or even closing, there comes an opportunity to start becoming a sales manager. Right? A typical sales manager in the industry, whether it's on the door knocking / setting side or closing, can make well over $100,000 or $200,000 a month. And that's because not only are you setting or closing your own deals, but you're also managing a bunch of people. And a lot of times you can negotiate what's known as an override, right? Say I'm a setter, I'm a sales manager for a door knocking team, and I got 20 guys under me, and throughout the whole summer, I help these guys close 100 deals. As the sales manager, I can get a cut off of what they do because not only am I training them, but I'm teaching them everything and I'm helping them become a better version of themselves. The same goes for the closing side. So after a couple years of experience, that's another route that you can go. All right, so now that we've gone over the sales side, I want to give a quick look into the install side of things, right? On the sales side, literally all we do is close deals. We set appointments, close the deal, that's it. But you still have a whole nother side of the industry that is making people a lot of money. Now, I will say that getting into this side of the industry, more so the install or EPC side of things, is not as easy. You really got to know what you're doing. But obviously after the sale, someone has to do the work. Someone has to do the design, the engineering, the permitting, install, all that stuff. But this brings a huge opportunity for people that, maybe are really good at electrical work, or people that maybe have install crews. Or maybe you just want to be a panel installer. There's a ton of work and a ton of opportunity for you out there. And when you go into that side of the industry, you don't have to worry about sales. You do definitely have a lot more stability, right? Say if you're working as a lead installer for XYZ solar company, you have a job, you might have a salary, benefits, and all this stuff. It's just a whole different set of skill sets, and that's definitely tailored more to someone who's more into the trades, you could say. So besides starting your own installation company, which I can guarantee 99% of you guys can do, including myself, other jobs that you can do within the industry are an installer, right? You're obviously installing the solar panels, putting up racking, all that stuff. There's the electrical side of things, right? If you're a master electrician, there's a lot of work for you and you'll be making well over 6 figures in a lot of markets. You got project management, right? Someone's got to manage the project, make sure the permits are put into play and all that stuff. And another really underrated one is what's known as a site surveyor. I see positions available out there for site surveyor paying anywhere between 40, 50, 60, even 70K plus. And literally your job is just to go to a house and conduct a very basic inspection, take pictures of the site and everything just so the engineering team can start the design and all. So as you can see, there's a lot of different jobs you can do, and none of these jobs require a college degree. And finally, I wanted to throw in a couple other miscellaneous things that you can do within the solar industry because, it's such a new industry and there's so many people in it that there's other ways to make money, not just being in it, if that makes sense, right? Say that you're really, really good at marketing there's a big opportunity for you to become a lead provider for a lot of these companies out there. Say you know how to run Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, any of that stuff, there's a massive demand because trust me, all these companies got a lot of money to spend. That also goes for the software side of things. If you really know what you're doing with software, there's a lot of big problems that you can solve. Trust me, solar company owners got the money to pay to fix any of the problems that they deal with. All right, so to conclude, that's just a couple ways that you can make money within the solar industry. Keep in mind, none of these positions require any college education, certifications, any of that. Maybe on the labor side, electrical work and all that, but 99% of you are probably going to be trying to go into the sales side. So the big thing I can tell you is that when you decide to go into the sales side, most of you, I want you to start off as a setter. It's going to help you learn how the industry works. It's going to really help build you as the person that you need to become in order for one day you can be a closer, you can be a sales manager, have your own organization, whatever. But you have to start from the bottom and you have to build that foundation. And you're going to be paid pretty well while doing so. But when you do look for a position, I want you to interview multiple companies. This industry is still so new and there's pretty much zero regulation, right? When you try to become a realtor, an insurance agent, or you want to be a mortgage broker, there's a lot of rules and stuff out there. But in solar, there's literally nothing. It's essentially the wild, wild west right now. All these people just trying to get into the industry, people coming in left and right, and unfortunately some bad characters in here as well. So when you do go look for an opportunity in the industry, make sure that you do your homework. Make sure that you talk with a couple of different companies. Make sure you meet some people who are already working in it, getting paid, because there's a lot of pretty crappy companies out there, and I don't want any of you guys wasting your time. But make sure to hit me with a subscribe. This channel is all about helping you succeed in the industry. So we'll be covering more topics as far as finding a sales organization, how to generate clients, what are some good scripts, all of that stuff. So definitely stay tuned, and I hope to start seeing some of you guys in the industry.